Hi, I'm Rebecca from So Hot, and we're here with Lou from Orth Designs. Right, we're just going to have a chat to Lou about some of her patterns and designs and a little bit about her background, and then talk about this lovely Paw Tracks quilt that we have some kits for. So, seen here in the Tulip Pink version, and then it looks like behind Lou there in Ruby Star fabric.
Yeah, it's the Stella collection from Ruby
Oh,
Star.
lovely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a lovely one.
It is fabulous.
So, thanks for being here with us today, Lou.
Thank you for asking me.
Right. So how did you get into quilting? What kicked it off for you?
Yeah, so it's a weird one actually. I never enjoyed sewing when I was at school. I can never remember to leave my presser foot down. It was going everywhere. So I never enjoyed. I'm not one of these people that's like, oh, I was sewing when I was 5. No, not me. I hated it. So as I sort of got older, I used to try lots of different crafts: knitting, crochet, jewelry making, soap making, everything, and I enjoyed them. And I, made a few things, but it never really stuck. And it wasn't till I had my first baby, actually, and I was with my mother-in-law who sews a lot, and she said, "Oh, should we try some sewing? I can hold the baby, you do some sewing." And I was a bit dubious about it, but I gave it a go, and I made this just a really basic cushion cover. You fold over the edges, you hem 2 sides, and it's done. And I felt like I had sewn like the best piece of sewing that anyone ever done. I remember showing my husband that evening. I was like, "Look, I made this, didn't buy it in a shop." And he was like, "Yeah, nice." But that feeling of I've made this myself just stuck like before, like better than any of the other crafts had ever stuck. And I started off just doing sort of basic sewing. I made a few little lavender bags, with to hang up in the wardrobe, a few totes, and it was only when when I first started sewing, I was just the local sort of haberdashery that I went to that didn't have any unique designer prints. They were all quite basic, and I just didn't know this world existed. And I went online, and I think I was searching fabrics, and I stumbled across I'm a Ginger Monkey, Katie Jones's blog.
Yes.
Years and years ago this was, and I saw her quilts, and I was just blown away by the designs, the fabrics. It was just all so amazing. And before that, in my head, quilts were all brown, dark red things that grannies made. It just, to me, I had no idea that there was this whole world of bright, fresh quilts and modern designs out there. I was just hooked from then on. I started making quilts, but I had no idea what I was doing. So I was just sort of cutting out triangles and sewing them together. I mean, I could have called it improv, but I didn't know what improv was then. So I was just trying to sew, but had no idea what I was doing. And then I sort of learned from some YouTube tutorials, your books, and you look back and you think, I can't believe I didn't think to look at. I was just sort of like, yeah, I'll give that a go. I remember I made just a plain square patchwork cushion. I didn't even use a rotary cutter and rulers. I just cut out squares, and I was like, why don't they match up? It's not looking right. Just now I look back, I'm like, what was going through your head? But I was having a great time, which is the main thing, right? When you first start sewing and you first start quilting, just don't feel scared. Jump in, get the scissors out, cut up squares, and wonder why it doesn't work, and then go from there. And I just haven't looked back. I'm still amazed now that I'm still going after all those crafts I tried. Painting, like I said, knitting, crochet, none of them really stuck. But for some reason, sewing has just got in there. And from those first few stitches I made when I was an adult, not when I was a child, and I hated it. I just haven't looked back. Fabric. I mean, sometimes I wonder if I just sew so that I can justify buying fabric, which is
For sure. Yeah. I mean, don't we all? Yeah.
I need to do something with this fabric. Oh, I love sewing. Yeah. But
I like the idea. I heard somewhere that collecting fabric and sewing are 2 different hobbies.
They
like,
are.
Yeah, definitely.
You wouldn't expect a stamp collector to just whack his stamps on an envelope, would you?
Exactly.
No. So why would you expect me to use my fabric? It's beautifully curated, I'll have you know. So yeah, that's how I got into it. And then so not long after I started sewing, I started quilting, piecing quilts, and quilting them as well. But I love the designing and I love the piecing of the quilts and seeing it come together. And yeah, there's just a completely open world of possibilities, isn't there, with designs?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's just really, really, really enjoy it. I haven't stopped yet.
I find it interesting how many people actually say that. There's a lot of people in quilting that have tried, a bit of toe painting, a bit of
Mm,
cross stitch, a bit of this, a bit of
yeah,
that, and then they find quilting and like that's it, they're hooked.
yeah,
And there must be something about it that maybe it's the fabric, I don't know, but
yeah.
there must be
It
something about
is.
it that just sucks people in. And
Yeah, yeah. It's just. I never, I never stopped for a minute almost. It'd be while my baby naps, I'd be hand sewing up or cutting out some fabrics, and yeah. So yeah,
oh,
that's
fantastic.
why I'm here.
So then what sort of, a lot of people would then go on and make patterns that other people have designed. What kind of brought you into designing your own?
Um, I suppose I had an idea in my head of what I wanted,
Hmm.
and then that would be what I sort of made. So I'd plan it out myself. Like I said, originally it was totally not using any
Free
standard
form.
techniques, just cut
Yeah.
out those triangles and stick them together. But as I learned more techniques, I understood how things worked and how to get better results. But it would still be from an idea in my head of, oh, that would look good, I want to make that. So I would just sort of sketch it out originally, and now I've got some software to do it. But yeah, it's just trying to make the things that are in my head, really.
Right. So you kind of always been a designer really from when you started.
Yeah, I think
Kind of
so.
always done it your own way.
Yeah, I've always been just trying to, and at first it would be playing around with things, seeing how that worked. Even with making things that aren't quilts, so like little pouches, and wondering if I tried to put a pocket in there, how would that work, and just sort of trying it out. And it's the same with quilts. I'd have an idea in my head, or I'd be sort of drawing and sketching them out and think, oh, that's a nice shape. Like, well, how would I try and make that? Would it be half square triangles, quarter square triangles?
Hmm.
And doing it that way.
Oh.
Obviously, I've made a few patterns along the way, learned other people. I'm doing my first FPP, foundation paper piecing, with she doesn't do it anymore, jelly quilts with her geese. She used to
Hmm.
make lots of lovely
I love
geesey
her stuff.
patterns. Yeah,
Yeah.
so and it's all just love doing it. Other people's patterns, my
Yeah.
own patterns, and then you
Great.
sort of snowball from there.
Yeah. So do you design full time now? Is that your
Yeah,
job?
it is. I've got two young, well, not young anymore, really, two children.
Mhm.
They're both in school, but obviously the last 18 months has been half at home, half
Yeah.
not. So that's my job when they're at school, and that's what I do with my days, and sometimes weekends and sometimes evenings, because I also love what I do. So I also love
Yeah.
sewing. It's sort of what I fill my time with. But yeah, when they're at school, I sort of fit it around them, and squeeze it in wherever I can, really.
Fab. So kind of talk us through what that day looks like. What's your sort of process? What do you do in a day, in an average
Yeah,
day?
so if it's a school day, say, and I've got the 9 to 3 to myself, I drop the kids off, I come back, I'll nearly always make myself a cup of tea or coffee, and then I'll probably start on the computer, um, emails, any other little
Mhm.
bits that needs doing, and it's generally either a sewing or it's computer work. There's a lot more computer work than you'd think with being a quilt pattern designer.
Mm.
It'd be nicer if it was just sewing all the quilts and then they wrote themselves somehow, but they don't. So there's lots of that, and it does take a long time. Because it's not just writing it out, you're doing it for sort of multiple pattern sizes, but it's also combing over it, editing it, making sure everything's
Yeah.
clear. Obviously, you've got the testers, and you've got pattern editors as well that can read through it and sort of check it for you and make sure the maths is right, and everything else is right. But I would probably never, I keep reading it over, make sure it's clear, make sure you haven't missed those tiny full stops anywhere. But yeah, that does take a lot of time, and
Yeah.
the emails and the admin side of it. But if I'm not doing that, I'm sewing up samples for my patterns. I also do a lot of magazine work, so it might be sort of
Right.
secret magazine work that I have to do, and then write up a design for that and send that off. So yeah, that'll pretty much be it until 2:45 when I have to down tools and go get
Yeah.
the girls. It's
Yeah.
like the quickest 6 hours, those
I
hours in
know.
the day.
I know. I've had that as well, and I'm like, whoa, what? Where
Where
did
did
that
that
go?
go?
Yeah.
So,
Do
yeah,
you
I'll do that. And then
do you sort of design forwards or backwards? Like, do you design a pattern and then make it, or do you make something and then write it?
I design first, and often the end design that will come out as a pattern is quite different to what I've originally started playing around with as a shape.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll often sort of get a shape and then I'll be like, that doesn't quite feel right. Tweak it a bit, maybe move something around. Does it need to be a repeat design? Does it need to have something moved around or taken away? And I'll have like a folder as each time I save it. You sort of always see the evolution of it through the
Mm-hmm.
designs. And, you know, is it just a matter of, oh, it doesn't quite look right, maybe I should just change the colours, move things around, and yeah, it sort of evolves from that. But once I've got that, I will then make a sort of a sample block, for example, and just check
Mm-hmm.
that it does all work well within my sort of design and the steps I think I'll make. And then yeah, I'll make a few samples and then I'll write up the pattern. So I'll have like the design as a sort of digital mock-up, and I'll also have my little scribbles of, you know, 4.5-inch squares times
Size.
6.
Yeah.
You just all scribbled down in my own head of what needs to be done, and how many for a block, and then how many for the, say for example, if I make a lap size. So then I'll make it according to my own instructions, and then it'll having to be put those into something that other people can understand. So
Right.
it'll be that sort of stage.
Great. And do you use a design wall at all in your process?
Do you know, I don't actually. So I'll do it all digitally, and then I will just if it's a block quilt, I will first start with how I laid out the blocks digitally, how I thought maybe the fabric, because I will do it in the fabrics I'm going to use. So I'll have an
Right.
idea of how, but obviously the fabrics aren't always exactly how they are in real life. So then I will just use the good floor and chuck my blocks on the floor and then I'll take a photo of it. When I think that's the right layout,
Mm-hmm.
I'll take a photo of it and then I'll refer to that photo when I'm putting them together.
Right.
But that works quite well if you've got sort of fairly large blocks and you're putting the blocks together. Obviously, if you've got, you know, 360 HSTs,
yeah,
no, I wouldn't do it for that. But you know, if you've got 16 blocks, just laying it out, make sure it all looks good is how I do it, and then piece it together according to my photo that I took.
Great. And online, like I know you do a lot of graphics and a lot of, you know, computer work, like you were saying. What program do you use?
So I mainly design in EQ7 and EQ8, and I have done mainly EQ8 now. That's just what I sort of started with years and years and years ago. I then use Adobe for designing the illustrations in the pattern. So for example, if you've got a triangle, it would be a square, and then the line, and then the sewing either side. So drawing out those steps, I use Illustrator for, and sort of the formation of the block, showing it come together. If you're making geese, showing all those different steps, I do in Illustrator.
Mm-hmm.
And then I use the other Adobe software, InDesign, to put the pattern together as like a booklet. So the front page, each page's back page. So those are the three main things I use: EQ8 to design it, and then the Adobe software
put it all
to
together,
put the pattern together. Yeah.
Great. So when you're testing your fabrics and stuff, is that in EQ7 there, or EQ8? Sorry, that you do.
EQ8, yeah. Oh, sometimes if Adobe can have, I think Illustrator probably can do more than EQ8, but I would have to learn that.
It's quite complicated, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm quite happy with how things work in EQ8. There's a lot of tweaking, and you know, you can just redraw the lines anyway. And yeah, you can import digital images of fabric in EQ8, and then just fill in your blocks as you
see how it looks, basically.
Yeah. So it's really good. You can have a play around with different fabrics. I mean, the only downside is, you know, digital fabric maybe not, you know, it's not going to look exactly how it does in real fabric, but I often find when it's in real fabric, it looks better. So if it looks good in EQ8, I know I'm going to love it when it's in
probably, yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Okay. So that's great. Thank you. That's really excellent description of the design process. So moving on, we'll go for fabric. Who's your favorite? What do you love?
I probably gonna say the Ruby Star Society ladies, Work Cotton and Steel ladies. Their designs, I always love everything they put out. So they're always my go-to. I know I'm gonna love those. I also love Ray Ritchie for Dear Stella.
Oh,
her illustrations are beautiful. Who else is there? Is it Susan Driscoll for Dashwood Studios?
Oh
Yeah, she's
yeah,
got some
yeah.
beautiful designs I absolutely love. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite open. You know, there's sometimes there'll be just a few from one collection that I absolutely love. Every fabric has got its place, hasn't it? It's I'm a connoisseur. I have a large collection because things are pretty, and you know, it's hard not to. And then
It's
you've
hard
always
to
got something in
resist.
your stash, you know.
Yes,
There's a reason
yes.
for it.
And is there anyone that you sort of always buy everything that they make, or no one that you follow in that way?
Do you know, I don't think there's anyone that I've always bought everything they've made regardless. There's a lot, I mean, there's probably the Ruby Star Society ladies I'll buy a lot of, because
Hmm.
between them, there's quite a few of the ladies and the designs. And I also quite like that the colours always work together. They obviously work within the same sort of collection
Yes.
of colours. So
Yeah,
you
it's
know, if
great.
you pair that and that, you know it's just going to look good together. You're not going to get a slightly off tone of pink that, oh, I wish it looked slightly different, because they've
Hmm.
obviously been thinking about that, and you know that it'll work well together, and it's just a great combo. So they're always really good to work with, and that's another reason I quite like to work within collections for when I'm
Hmm.
making my quilts, because you know that the colors go together within that collection. You don't have to worry about matching the right blue to the right pink or whatever, because the collection has been put together to go well together, and the colors just play nicely, and it's just so easy to put a nice quilt together when it's all within one collection.
Yeah, yeah, especially their collections. I find they've already brought in that nice accent color, and
Yes.
you don't have to really bring anything in from outside to make it kind
Yeah.
of come alive.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah, they're fantastic. So, what are your favorite methods to use in quilting and sewing? Is there anything that's your kind of go-to when you start designing? What's your
It's
favorite?
So I'm mainly a machine piecer.
Hmm.
I use a lot of half square triangles in my quilts. I just love the shapes they make. You can do so much with them. They're so versatile. You know, put them together, have them separate. They form different shapes together. So I really have a lot of half square triangles in a lot of my quilt designs. I'm probably considered quite geometric, so I use a lot of like geese, or like I said, half square triangles, squares. Um, I'm not a curves person. Straight lines only, please. But yeah, so that's sort of probably what I go to. I'll start playing around with, you know, geesey shapes, squares, rectangles, and sort of just seeing where they come from. Or I might have
What
had
comes
sort of an idea
together?
in my head and think, how do I form that? And it'll be going with, you know, maybe using half square triangles, geese, quarter square triangles, and seeing how I can
Yeah,
make that.
they're so versatile, aren't they?
Oh,
You can take the same number of half square triangles and make so many different blocks that look
yeah,
completely different. It's
yeah,
amazing. Yeah.
yeah. And that's what I tried to do with my first ever quilt, when I just cut triangles out and stuck them together. It was all half square triangles to make like an echoey shape. And but yeah, just not quite how people would do it. How I
No.
would do it.
Well, there's easier ways, aren't there?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, that's it.
great. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about the paw tracks pattern that we've got
Yes.
here?
Yeah, so I've got one behind me. As I said, I love my half square triangles. They're there too.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, it's a traditional bare paw block,
Hmm.
and it's just the way it's set out on the quilt that sort of gives it that modern negative space edge. It's great for fat quarters, scrappy, a layer cake. This one was made with it's a layer cake, but Ruby Star Society have got them called junior rolls, which have only got like half a layer cake in or something. So yeah,
Yes,
you
yes.
need your standard 42-inch layer cake, or 2 lots of the half layer cakes. But yeah, you just sort of start chopping it up and sewing it back together again. But it's standard
Yeah, I
times,
found it
isn't
came
it?
together really, really quickly, actually,
Yeah,
once yeah, done the
there's
half
a lot
square
of half square
triangles.
triangles, but
Hmm.
because you're not having to worry about, you know, too many, you're not having to get the exact pairings right or colours. It's
Yes.
always a main colour with a background. You can
Hmm.
just sort of go ahead, and I love chain piecing half square triangles.
Me too.
Trimming them, not so much, but
No, me
the
neither.
chain piecing is always great, isn't it? Feels like you're really, really productive, really getting stuff done. So
You just get in the
it's a really
zone,
fun,
don't
quick
you?
make. Yeah, yeah, and then you've got to trim them all. But
Yeah,
I do normally put some Netflix on or something while I'm trimming them.
yeah, I
It
do.
makes
Yeah.
it go a bit quicker. So yeah, it's just a really fun make, and there's not too many blocks. You've got a lot of negative space there, so it does come together quite quickly. I think it's quite a sort of a bold, striking design, but also it can have a quite traditional look as well, depending on the fabrics you want to use for it.
Yeah, it's actually interesting. We'll show in another little segment that we have. We made this one in Tula Pink True Colors
I love
with
that.
with the background there, and then
Yeah.
we made another one in Tilda fabric that's
Oh,
mostly kind of florals and that
yeah.
softer look, with Kona
Yeah.
Bone as the background, and it looks completely different.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a
Yeah, those
totally
bold
different effect.
Tula colours are going to look it's going to give it such a different look. But I
It
love that. And I
just
love that as a background fabric as well. So you've still
yeah.
got a bit of, it's not completely blank. It's still
Yeah.
got some
I
something
wasn't
there.
sure when I pulled it. I was like, is this gonna work? Is the
Yeah.
background gonna be too busy and take over? But as it came together
No,
now, I thought, oh, this was the right
it's
call,
just
definitely.
perfect, actually, that background
Mm.
fabric. Yeah, it looks really
And
good.
I like how the open spaces, you can't really see here, but
Yeah.
you've got some
Yeah.
spaces of showcase some quilting and things on
Yes.
the
Yeah, yeah.
pattern.
If you want to if you're into your quilting, then definitely there's loads of spaces for that.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. So what's your favorite part, or what do you love most about being part of the quilting industry? What have you found?
I think the quilters generally, they're very nice people. They're very
Mhm.
supportive. I think that's so important, especially when you're starting out quilting. And you will probably see all the things that are wrong with it that you think, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or oh, that point didn't match up. But I think if you show it to the quilters on quilting, on social media, all you will get is a load of support and a load of well done. That's amazing. And it's so important, because I don't know about a lot of quilters, but I know that I don't really know in real life many other quilters apart from one, Anna Marie Galvin, who I met via Instagram, and then she actually lived nearby, which is
Oh,
just,
she makes beautiful stuff, doesn't
it
she?
does, she
Really
does.
beautiful. Yeah.
But most of the time you don't really get to see other quilters in your life,
Mhm.
and it's so nice to be able to show what you've made to somebody, people who know what went into it and appreciate the time and the effort you've put into it, and will tell you that that's amazing, well done. You sometimes need to hear that when you're starting out.
Yes.
You don't necessarily want to show it to people who have no interest in quilting, and they're like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it's a blanket. You think,
yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
it's not.
And I just think they're lovely. No one's gonna say to you, oh, that point doesn't match up, that's not so good. And not that it matters, but yeah, I just think that everybody's really supportive in the quilting community, cheering each other on, and it's just really lovely. It's really lovely to feel that you've got that community there who are going to support you and just congratulate you on everything you do, and it's really lovely.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is a fantastic community, I think, to be a part of.
Yeah,
Generally, sort of very welcoming and, like you say,
yeah,
very supportive and friendly, and
yeah,
yeah, and people
definitely.
just making
Yeah,
some amazing things. So much inspiration as well to
yeah.
find, you know.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there is just so much, isn't there, though? That's
Mhm.
it's like, oh wow, I love what she's done. I want to make that. I'll put that on my make list. Or I love that fabric. I must make something with that fabric. It's just a never-ending list,
I
though.
know. And then it
I do some
piles up.
dressmaking now and again, but it just gets pushed to the bottom of the pile. I've got so many like meters of fabric I've bought that I'm like, oh yeah, I will make that. And now and again, you see it on Instagram, and you think, oh, it does look really good. I need to do that, and it's too much stuff, too much inspiration.
I know. Never enough time, is
Yeah.
there? Okay, fantastic. So do you want to tell us a little bit about your new pattern that is launching when this
Wow.
goes live?
Yeah, as I say, Thursday, today, depending on when you're
Today,
doing it.
yes.
Yeah, so it's my latest pattern. It's got half square triangles and geese. Yeah. So this is sort of the
Oh,
main block
fabulous.
design. This is using, try and work out the camera angles. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I can
This is
see it.
actually
Yeah,
using
that's great.
the Full Moon collection by Dashwood
Mhm.
for, I think it's Helen Black Designs, which is this one is my favourite print.
Beautiful.
If you look in close, it's got little moths and little skulls and spiders, so it's a little bit spooky, but it's
Mhm.
really beautiful illustrations as well.
Yeah.
And the skulls, and so yeah, this is my latest pattern. It's called Suncatcher Stars. Oh my goodness, I can't work out. It's all inverted. It works with fat quarters, fat eights, scrappy. I've done a sort of scrappy pink
Yeah, I saw
scrappy,
some scrappy on Instagram. That's
so
beautiful.
that's really fun to make as well.
Yeah.
I've got quilt along starting with this on the 9th of August. So that will be the first week, will just be sort of getting your fabrics and cutting. So then, you know, if you need a bit more time, we're not actually going to start sewing till the 16th that week. So yeah, that'll be really fun. I'm planning on doing a few videos as we go along for my sort of top tips for half square triangles, because I've made them so many times now. I've got some good tips on how to get really nice crisp half square triangles, and how to get really nice sort of geesey points.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So
Yeah.
there's geese and half square triangles in those. So I'll do some videos of those as we go along.
Great.
Yeah, it should be really fun. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Seeing everybody else's makes, because I would love to make my quilts in like 20 different fabrics, but I just don't have the time. So I can live vicarious people and try and stop myself just trying to copy what they're doing and thinking, oh, that looks lovely in that fabric, I want to make it too. You know, just don't, just enjoy theirs. But so that's the great thing about sew along. You all get to just see what everybody else is making, their fabric pulls, and it's so nice to see things in different fabrics, because there'll always be something that you would have never thought of, and then you see it and you think, oh, that does look really good. And it's just nice to sort of broaden your horizons with how fabrics work, because it's so easy to fall into the, especially me, you know, I have sort of a group of fabric colors that I like, that I sort of nearly always go to, and it's just really lovely to see things in different fabrics and how they work. So yes, I'm really excited for that. That's going to start in a couple of weeks, 9th of August, and the pattern's out today. Yeah, and
fantastic.
Yes, I'm really excited for it. Should be good.
That's great. Right, well, thank you very much for being with us today. It's been really great, really informative interview. And we're happy to be doing this collaboration with you, obviously featuring your patterns and the quilt kit for Paw Tracks.
I know, I'm looking forward to seeing all the Tula Pink Paw Tracks now. They're going to look so good.
Hopefully so. That's great. But thank you so much for your time, Lou.
No, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Hello, we're back in the shop now, and we just want to show you Lou Orth's patterns and kits that we've made up as special offers for the virtual booth that we're doing for Festival of Quilts. So we have the patterns. We'll just start there and we'll go through them with you. So first up is Paw Tracks, which is the pattern that we've made kits for here, and it's a gorgeous pattern, 3 different sizes that you can make with that pattern. And City Lights is next up. Really beautiful colors in this one, although obviously you could do it in whatever you like. And there's 3 different sizes of that, 3 different sizes of quilt you can make with that pattern as well. Array, which is a fat quarter friendly, sort of nice modern block quilt, 3 different sizes again in that pattern as well. The next one is Fraction, which is a really bright, bold, modern quilt, which is fabulous. And that one finishes at 60 inches square. Then we have Vintage Tiles. This is one of my favorites. There's lots of beautiful quilts made up from this pattern online that you can find. Fat quarter friendly and 3 different sizes for that pattern. Next up is Wildflower Meadow, which is a beautiful floral block. Again, 3 different sizes that you can make with this pattern. Then we have Charmed, which is a half square triangle design that's both fat quarter and fat eighth friendly. And there's 4 different sizes of quilt that you can make with this pattern. And then last up we have Paper Kites, which is a smaller pattern that's English paper piecing, and it does have the paper pieces and the template in that for making that smaller wall hanging design. So those are the patterns that we have in. Those are all on special offer during our virtual booth. So it's buy 3 patterns and get 10% off. And if you buy 5 or more patterns, you get 15% off of those. The coupon code should be shown below. And you do need to enter that coupon code at checkout in the coupon code box. It doesn't automatically come up. So make note of those and enter those in when you're ordering those patterns. So that offer is good through midnight, Sunday, August 1st, till the end of our virtual booth. And then we have some great kits that we've made up from the Paw Tracks pattern. So behind me, you can see this beautiful Paw Tracks quilt made up in Tula Pink's true colors, which is just fantastic. Lovely bright colors really pop off of that background. And then is something completely different. We've made this up in a softer floral Tilda fabrics with Kona bone as your background. So it just shows you how different that can look in different fabrics that you've picked. So we do have kits for these. So first I'll show you the Tula Pink kit here. So that comes with your 8 fat quarters that you need to make the quilt and your background fabric, and then the patterns included in there as well. So that's for the Tula Pink True colors. And then for the floral quilt here, we actually have 2 different colorways. So this is the one we have a sample of. This is the red and green colorway. And it comes with 12 fat quarters and then Kona bone for your background. And again, the pattern included in that. And this one, we have a second colorway in that floral design. And this one is a blue and purple floral with mustard accents, which is really beautiful. Again, Kona bone for your backgrounds and the pattern. And with these kits, both the floral kits, we've gone for 12 fat quarters rather than the 8 that is required for the pattern, because we wanted to give a little bit more variety in these stars, a little bit more color through there. So you will have some fabric left over. So that'd be great for making, a coordinating project to go with your quilt, maybe a cushion cover, pillowcase, something like that to go with the quilt that you've made. So these kits are also on special offer. So they're normally priced between £83.75 and £85.90. But for our virtual booth, we are doing them on special offer of £71. So again, that does expire midnight, Sunday, August 1st. But this one does not need a coupon code. So they will be on the website at the show special price through the end of Sunday, August 1st. Okay, so that's everything that we have for you today. Thank you for joining us, and thank you again to Lou.